What's up, everybody? My name's Todd and you are watching Digging Life. Today we're going to make a video on how to change motor oil in your car or machinery yourself and save money. It doesn't matter whether it is a machine like that, a pickup truck, or like today we're doing a 2020 Cadillac Escalade. If it has a gas or a diesel engine, it needs oil changed periodically. Usually either side of about 5,000 miles on your car. Some even say up to 10,000. Me personally, I prefer to change my oil in anything at 5,000 mile increments. If it's a vehicle, if it's a piece of machinery, every 500 hours. The first step is to find out how much oil do you need and what kind. If you go under the hood of your vehicle on the oil filler cap, how do you access that? Go under most vehicles, you go directly below the steering column that's attached to the steering wheel, and you'll see this little guy. Just pull it and the hood pops up. The next step is you reach up under the hood right in the center and you'll feel for a tab. Right there's that one, and then you can lift your hood up and you look on either just the very top of the engine or off to either side. It's usually, if it's off to the side, it's usually off to the driver's side. And right there you can see 0W20 is our oil. Then you just go down to your local parts store, Advance, Napa, any of those, and you locate on the shelf 0W20. Very simple. Don't let this overwhelm you. It's a very, very simple thing to do. I still think that parents should teach boys and girls or children how to change their oil. Now, if you're somebody who makes $500 an hour, it does not make sense to change your own oil. But if you're just your everyday average American, it'll save you some money. And it's a good weekend project, and frankly, I think it's fun. Now, there's two ways to find out the quantity of oil you need. The way I always do it is just go into the manual in the glove box of your vehicle, go to the index at the back, look up capacities, and you'll go down to engine oil, and it'll tell you what page to go to. Or simply Google it these days. You Google it, and you know, as long as you punch in the right, you know, you need the year, make, model of your vehicle. So like this is a 2020 Cadillac Platinum, which they're all about the same as far as Escalades go. Same engine. I looked it up in the manual and it will say with filter. So if you're changing the filter too, it takes 8 quarts. The next thing you can do, once I got down there, I just collected my oil, go up to the counter and tell them you need an oil filter as well. They'll look it up for you, and most oftentimes they'll go to the shelf and pick it off for you. I always, every time I change my oil, I also get an air filter. So I told them today, I've got my oil, I need an engine oil filter and an air filter. An intake air filter. Newer cars have a filter for the air conditioning on a lot of models. So they'll say, do you need air filter for cab air filter? The cab air filters for your air conditioning. This that we need today is an intake filter. This is something else I'll just kind of teach you while we're waiting on the oil to drain. I also have noticed, I'm just not big on this kind of thing, but you can go on Advance Auto Parts site and pick your local store, punch in your vehicle, year, make, model, and you can select oil change, and it'll automatically collect everything you need, send it to that store, and then you just show up and everything you need is there. I prefer to just look this stuff up myself, that way I know it's right. Really, that's the hard part to me, is figuring everything out that you need. So we have all the oil we need, filter, and the side note, intake filter. Now where do you, the very next step is going to be draining the oil out of your vehicle. Hey Sophie. On a low profile vehicle like this, and almost all vehicles, I find it's easiest to access the bottom of the car from here, on one side or the other. On this particular vehicle, the location and angle of the drain valve, I'll just leave you guys real time with me here. Now be mindful, under this vehicle is exhaust pipe, which is this. It's usually blued or kind of a coppery looking color from the heat. If this is your first time changing your oil, I'd recommend doing it while the vehicle is cold. At least been sitting for 2 hours. And you can see the blue canister right there. That's our oil filter. And that plug right there, that's the drain plug. It's usually about I'd say anywhere from 9/16 to 3/4 inch plug. So now we need the right tools. One thing every automotive and homeowner needs is a basic socket set, and it needs to have standard and metric. So fractions of an inch and in millimeters. This is a basic set. You got 2 different size wrenches, and of course all your assorted sockets. Take the whole thing with you this first time. I'll put this whole set under here. Since I change oil so much, I keep oil drain pans. I'll slide it under this side so it's out of my way. Yeah, it's under we go. Cardboard works really good if you're having to work on gravel and you don't have a nice concrete driveway. Oh, I need my filter wrench. I got an assortment of filter wrenches. You just need the appropriate sizes. So I'll take this one. And this one. Much lower of a vehicle, and I would be having to jack it up a little bit. But since this is a basic video, we won't touch on that. The first thing, I'm touching my exhaust pipe. It's nice and cool, so that's a plus. We're going to just kind of trial and error, figure out what size socket we need. Right there's what we want. Right there. So now I need the right size wrench. Shouldn't be on very, very tight. I'm having to kind of contort myself in here. Oh, somebody put the quietus on that. That's going to be the only downside doing this first time by yourself. Some jackleg may have put it on real tight. There he goes. Alright, so now, if you've been driving, that oil will burn the shadookies out of you. Another thing is too, since this is at an angle, it's going to squirt out that way. All we got to do, and what I'm going to have to, I got my bucket here. On you guys. So now we got my bucket. We're going to try to prevent as much spillage as possible. Now, since I've got him like this, I can just let this fall right into my bucket, because the way it's made, the oil plug can't fall down in here, and I'll just clean it up later. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my finger and just spin it off. See, it's warm, it's not burning me. But when it's warm like that, it'll drain a lot faster and easier and more complete from the engine. Well, that's draining. We're gonna let that drain all the way out. Then I'll pull this filter. About 7 quarts just came out of that in probably about a minute. If you're having to do this for some reason, when it's cool, it helps it drain to take where you're going to put new oil in up on top. Just take that cap loose and it can breathe and drain out better. But I just didn't want to crawl out from under here. So I feel like we've gotten that drained out sufficiently. So what I'm going to do is go ahead, get my wrench. I think this is the right size. Let's see if we can loosen this filter up. Oh, hell, whoever put that filter on really did a number of it. I'm actually crushing that filter a little. So, let's see if I can, might be one size smaller. So we just drop that right here. You want to make sure that that seal, there's a rubber O-ring like seal around those edges. Make sure it's still on the filter, because sometimes it will come off and stay up there. You put your new filter on and it will leak like a sieve. Now we've got our new filter here, and you can see that gasket is dry. I've got some old motor oil on my fingers. I'm going to wipe it on that seal all the way around to lubricate it. And it'll go on there, and it will make getting it off the next time we change the oil very easy. I'm just going to spin this back on here. All the oil's drained out, so I can now move my oil drain pan. Same thing with the drain plug. It's got an O-ring around it. I'm going to lubricate. I'm going to put it back into the plug hole there. Just like that. Feel it snug down. Now with my paper towels that my sweet wife handed me, my shop towels, I'm going to clean up as best I can here. Keep everything kind of neat and tidy. Just like I said, with dry hands. I'm going to grab that filter. I'm going to kind of clean it as I go. Like cleaning these areas. As I'll look under here after the first few miles that I drive it, make sure everything is not leaking. It's very important to put everything back. So with a firm grip, I'm really squeezing that filter and I'm turning it just like that. Now see that? It's good and tight. Good and tight. Now on the bottom of this K&N filter, you can see that it's got like a nut built into it. That's to put a small socket on to help get it off when the time comes. So I got that pretty tight. Now, let's see, it's this one. I'm just going to take a regular filter wrench here. Give it about an 1/8 or 1/4 turn. Good snugging. It's on there. Now we got to snug this back up. Just snug it up. There we go. That's all that needed. Now the next part I'm gonna get this oil fill cap out. This one you just pressed in, pulled it, opens that hole right up. Set this somewhere convenient, a lot of times battery box or off here to the side, just anywhere that's going to keep it clean. For me, I'm going to put it here on my workbench. I'll look and see what size hole it's got. It's pretty small. Let's find an appropriate funnel. If for some reason you have an old used funnel, make sure you clean it out real good. If this is your first time, obviously I would say that you are not equipped with a funnel. Just pick one up at the parts store when you go get your oil. So now that we know we have a clean funnel, just stick your funnel right in here, just like that. Now we're going to add 7 quarts of the 8, or 7 of the 8 quarts. That's 1. Don't put the caps back on these, and I'll show you why in a little bit. All right. 7 of the 8 quarts are in the vehicle. I'll put my cap back on. It's just me. Some people won't put the cap back on, but I do. I'm gonna let the vehicle sit for about 4 or 5 minutes. Let all that oil drain down. It won't take long because that 0W20 is very, very thin oil. So it'll drain out quick. While we're doing that, I go ahead and clean up any drips and whatnot. I'll go ahead and start picking my tools up and wiping the oil off of them. Just clean up because we're pretty well close to done. Tools are all cleaned up. Back in the wrench bag. Got my wrenches put back, sockets put back in their place. Got my empty jugs here, which we will use. I'm just going to start the vehicle now, let it run for about 30 seconds, and that should be plenty of time to get the oil into the oil filter, get it cycling. We'll shut it off, let it settle, and then we'll pull the dipstick and see where we're at on the line. We gave it a few minutes. Now I'm gonna get a clean paper towel. Very important. You don't want to be contaminating your nice clean oil. Your dipstick for your oil is usually a yellow pull handle. It's either a T-shaped handle or a lot of newer vehicles have this ring. Hold the stick with your paper towel. Wipe it first, don't check it yet. Clean it off real good. Put it back down in the dipstick tube. This way you get an accurate reading. Let's see where we're at. We're up on the stick. Let's check it one more time. And the reason I only do 7 quarts is because you'll never completely drain the engine. You should get real blame close though. Showing part of the way up the tube, or the stick. And what I'm going to do is leave that extra quart in the back of the car. And that way, the next time me and the wife go to the grocery store or wherever we go, After I drive a few miles, I'll stop, let it sit, and check it again, because this is a really expensive motor to have to replace if you screw this up. Now your air cleaner will always have a tube, almost always have a tube coming off of it, and it's a box right here. Okay, this is your air cleaner. Your air filter is in here, going into the engine. A lot of them just have little clips. This one actually has screws that I got to take out. And see, like this little guy here, it's got to come loose. Now, I've had a couple of cars where the easiest way to do this, let's just go ahead and take the whole air box loose. So you just loosen this hose clamp in here, just pull it apart. Just like that. And then that gives you a little bit more play. There it goes. Now, we got easy access to that filter. Easier access. That was actually really clean. Really, really clean. But we're going to change it anyway. Alright, we're going to check our air box. It's clean. I'm just going to stick this right back in. Not forcing anything. That's how you tear stuff up, make sure it's seated good. Now we're just going to work this back into place. Alright, everything's just got to go right back together. Right back the way it was. That's good. I almost forgot, I got in a hurry. I'm ready to go play with my kid. You take your funnel, put it in each one of your containers, and then slowly empty your drain container into those. And then you can put the tops on them, put them in a box, haul them down to your local parts store, automotive shop, whatever. Those places usually accept old used motor oil. And that, friends, is basically how you do an oil and filter change, and a little bit of a bonus on your air filter. Don't pay too much attention to the air filter because it is so wildly different on every single vehicle. But the oil change part is basically the same for almost any internal combustion engine. Thanks for joining me, guys. I really do hope that doing this video helps a lot of you out there in the world, not just the folks that usually watch my videos. We love you guys. Comment, do it yourself. We love you guys. Best of luck. Go out, change your oil, save a buck or two. See you guys on the next one.